Welcome to this episode of Beauty Business Matters, and this is yet another very special episode, but a very, very special episode because I have a really, really special guest. I have Theresa Heath-Waring with me, who we met purely by chance a few years ago. She is one of the UK's largest influencers in marketing. Absolutely awesome. And also 400 episodes into her podcast. So welcome, Theresa.
Thank you for having me. And I feel a little bit of pressure now. I feel like, because you said it was extra special, let's hope so.
Oh, well, normally I don't make any notes, but the thing is, because I know we'll just chat and chat and chat for hours, but I just don't want to miss anything out.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I've followed you for so long, and it was purely by chance that we did meet at when Andrew and Pizza Tomicon was a small event.
Yeah.
Way back when, I don't know how long ago that was, a good few years ago.
2018,
yes,
was it?
Probably.
I think it probably was, yeah.
And I'd followed you before that, and then somehow we ended up having a drink, which we'll talk about that as well later
probably
on.
Standard.
And then I gave you a lift round to your hotel, and
that was it.
You've just always been on my radar. So to have you as a guest is absolutely awesome. So
thank you.
Thank you so much. So I thought as well, because we get a lot, obviously the podcast is predominantly for beauty salon owners and clinic owners, but we also get a lot of entrepreneurs listening. So I think your journey is to where you are now is fascinating. So tell us a little bit about how you've ended up being one of the UK's top influencers in marketing.
Okay. So it was never planned and there was no strategy. It was mainly winging it, but somehow it got me to where I am. So trying to keep it as a very short version, I had done a degree in marketing. I'd spent 10 years working for other people. So I did corporate marketing for Land Rover, right the way down to I actually marketed chicken products. So processed chicken products. That was very sexy. And I'd done it all sorts of different marketing. And I was in an agency, head of marketing for them. And I joke that I had a very early midlife crisis. I ended up becoming a single parent to my 4-year-old and decided that although I loved where I worked, I wanted a different job. I wanted to stay in marketing, but work for a different company. Ended up handing my notice in, giving 8 weeks notice, thinking, I'm really good at what I do. I'll be fine. Forgetting I was in Shropshire, which is not full of big, massive businesses. And basically got about 3 weeks into my notice, nothing was coming. And someone came to me and said, would you do our social media? And I was like, okay, how much, would I charge? And I offered them an amount and they said yes. And I was like, okay, so if I could get this times 6 people, this would about bring in my salary. And it was like that thought entered my head. And then my boss at the time went, you can leave now. So I had 1 week to basically start a business, build a brand, create a website. I'm not sure I'd necessarily say to other people they have to do that within week 1, but I was in the creative industry. Yeah. I had designers and web developers, so it was not too hard, but basically bring in money. So I was a single parent with no other income coming into the house, no money from anyone else. Like I had parents, they weren't rich, couldn't subsidize me, and I had to bring in £1,500 a month from day one.
Wow. And did you?
I did. I'm still here, thank God. Like, and the funny thing is, if someone said how, I'm not entirely sure. Like, I hustled, and I'm not really a massive fan of the hustle, but sometimes you've got to. And I needed the money; I had no choice. So I went out there and I pitched and worked hard.
But I think that is the thing, though, isn't it? Sometimes when it's necessity and you have got to do it, you just get on it.
I had no choice.
The thing is, you didn't have time to sit and procrastinate over it or anything like that. And I think it's sometimes getting thrown in at the deep end is the best way, isn't it?
Yeah.
So wow.
Literally, like if to keep the house over our head, that was what I had to earn. So I had no choice but to make that work. And I think what was interesting in the early days is people thought I'd lost my mind. Like, you're literally on your own, you're paying for your mortgage, your car, all the other things. And I suddenly go, I'm going to start my own business. And you know what was also funny is people were quite anti it. And like, even, you know, people in my world would say, well, if it doesn't work, you can always get a job, can't you?
Yeah.
And that was my other driver. So not only did I literally need money, but I was like, I'll show you.
Yeah, I'm a little bit like that. It's a little bit like a red rag to a bull.
Yeah.
I can always remember when I first started my clinic, everyone was like, oh, it'll never go in concert. And I used to think, yes, it will.
Yeah.
And the more someone said it, the more I thought, I am going to make a go of this.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, sometimes someone just like poo-pooing an idea, you just like think...
Spite is a great driver. I'll prove you wrong is a great driver for business.
So from there, I mean, to where you are now, I mean, you've worked all over the world, you've spoke all over the world. How did all of that come about? Is it just been purely the same kind of thing, thinking, yes, I can do that? Or has it been planned?
I wouldn't say it's been planned. I think it kind of came about from... I started the business as a consultant. Then I brought in people and made it like an agency. And then I started to get picked up to speak, and I really love speaking. And I don't know whether it was conscious or not, but I knew that speaking would get me clients and customers. So I would do like the chamber stuff and FSB small business stuff. Like, I would do anything local. Whenever they wanted like a 20-minute speaker, I'd put my hand up and go, yeah, I want to do that. And that was getting me clients, which was brilliant. But then I was loving that more than the other stuff. And what was super fascinating, and for anyone wanting to grow through this way, was I got local clients when I did the local speaking. The bigger the speaking I got, the less clients I got. It was almost a case of when you were speaking on the really big stages, people wouldn't think, oh, I can have her do my social media, or I can pay for them to manage our marketing. It was like, oh no, she's at a different level now. So that was almost one of the reasons I had to tip into the online business and create more of an online business, because weirdly, the bigger I got from a speaking point of view, the worse it did for my business.
Yeah. But then you'd become sort of a role model for anyone else starting those local businesses and building up, kind of thing. So where did the podcast come from this?
So I entered the online world, and I found, so when I say online world, I mean like course creators, membership owners, coaches. So I started to watch all these online people and were like, this is awesome. I want to do this. Because what they were doing was they were helping smaller businesses, which I really loved, because working in marketing, when you work for a massive business, you have an idea or you have a thought that can make a difference, and you know it can make a difference. And it is like trying to turn the tide. It's like trying to get them to do something massive and move it. Whereas when you work with a small business, you could say to them, do this one thing, and then they come back to you 3 weeks later and go, I did it and I made money. And you're like, flipping brilliant. So I love the idea of working with small businesses, but budget wasn't there. Then they weren't going to employ someone at my caliber to come in and do it. So the online business meant that I could serve lots of people, I could help lots of people, and they didn't have to pay very much. So I was like, this is brilliant. So of course I started looking at the people who were doing it. And when I looked at them, I was like, they had a podcast. So I thought, if I want a business like theirs, I need a podcast. And that was it. It was as simple as that. I just did it to go, let's try that. I knew I liked speaking over writing, but it was just, they did it. Let me see if it works for me.
I love the title as well. A dream business. It's just perfect, isn't it? It's just...
Yeah, and it kind of means a few different things. Like for me, when I talk about your dream business, I talk about, one, creating something that you love, because when I created my first business, I didn't plan it, but when I did it, I didn't love it. I created something that was really hard work. I had loads of clients. It didn't feel good. And then when I came into the online space, everyone had such strong opinions of what a business should look like. And if you weren't ticking the boxes that they all laid out, you weren't successful. And this was just rubbish, because you're in a different season of life. I was in a different season of life. They were in a different season of life. So having a single male with no children telling me how I should run my business as a mum of a, by this point, probably 6-7-year-old, was like, yeah, no, that's not right. And then the worst thing is that we look to these experts, which is great because we all need them and we need to be motivated by them. But sometimes we look at them, and when they say a successful business is if you have 5 salons or as if you have 300 clients, and you don't, because actually what works with you is having that 1 salon and 100 clients. You're made to feel like you're the problem, and that's not the case. But when you can get so steadfast and so sure about this is what is important to me and my business, then screw what everybody says. Like, it doesn't matter what they say. You can just go, no, this is my dream business. And the beauty of this is you can change your mind. Right?
I always like to say, your business, your rules.
Yeah.
Do whatever.
Totally. You know? And when you are so happy and secure in that, and can go 2 years down the line, actually, you know, my life now is very different from when I first started my business. You know, my daughter's 15 going on 25. I share her with her dad. So I have a completely different life now. So I can have a very different looking business. So it's fine to go, actually, now life's changed. I can change it again, and that's fine.
This episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsor, Forest Salon Software. I'm especially delighted about this partnership because I've known the CEO of Forest, Ronan Percival, for over 12 years, and he was also the first guest on this podcast. The Forest story began with a genuine love for the salon industry, and their passion for helping businesses thrive is what makes them such a great synergy and such a great fit for this show. They bring so much energy and enthusiasm to helping and supporting salons. And as part of this partnership, they are offering an exclusive deal for our listeners. It's a huge 50% off Forest Salon Software for the first 6 months. It's an incredible saving, especially in today's climate, and a great way for your business to stay focused and strong for 2025 and beyond. If you'd like to take advantage of the offer, simply check out the sign-up link in the show notes, and be sure to mention the podcast when you speak to their fantastic team. And thanks to Forest Software, and now back to our incredible episode. Yeah. And that's what I love about the title, because like I say, your dream business can be still a dream.
Yeah.
Or it can be that I'm creating my dream business. And I love that. Now, we did that with the title of this, because Beauty Business Matters has like 2 or 3 different connotations to it, kind of thing. And I just love that, because then it's whatever you make it, isn't it? And that's the thing with business.
And it's got to be, because otherwise, like I said, we end up thinking we're doing it wrong. And this stuff's hard, okay? Yeah. Running a business is not for the faint-hearted. And to run a business and then think I'm doing it wrong is soul destroying. So like you said, knowing what's important to you and how it works for you, and what makes you happy at the end of the day. Because again, you could have the most successful business in the world, bring in millions and millions and millions, and be absolutely miserable and hate every single second.
And I think that happens a lot.
I do.
I think as well, the more you like, and the entrepreneurs that I know who've done really, really well, they're always pivoting and changing into, and because to me, you have to wake up and be excited about being in your business, and it is very easy just to get into like the thinking this is it, kind of. But you, as I say, to me, business, you can just make it what you want. And you touched on that before about growth. You know, I think it's this misconception that you've got to be big and have everything to be successful. But you know, in my industry, I work with some solo operators who are making far more than someone who's got a team. So it's like, it's how you handle that. But I know some people who've got a team who are doing phenomenally well. So it's like, you know, it's what works for you, isn't it?
And what you want. You know, it could be about the money, and that's the other thing that's really important, actually, because I think sometimes, especially with females, we're told not to talk about the money, and we're told not to, you know, it's horrible and garish to want to earn money. No, if that's what you want, then flipping brilliant, go for it. But Also, if that isn't your most important thing, I have people that I work with where they want to do the school run every day. Personally, I couldn't imagine anything worse, right? I do not want to do a school run every day. But that's why it's brilliant, because it's like, if that's what works for you and that's what you want, then you need to be really confident and really happy when people go, well, you could earn so much more. Well, yeah, but then you wouldn't get to do the school run. And then what's the point in that? So getting clear on who you are, what you want, what makes you happy, but also knowing I can change my mind. At the point this doesn't make me happy, or at the point my season changes. I had someone who started a membership. She was awesome. She loved the membership to begin with. And then her and her husband got to the point of way before retirement age, but they were very fortunate that they had the money to travel. And the membership was really getting in the way, because it was like she wanted to travel all the time, but she was like, I've either got to think about how am I going to do the calls from there, or try and plan it around when I haven't got calls. And she was like, what if I just stopped it? And I said, okay, cool. And she was like, what will people think? I went, who cares what people think? It's your business. You decide. And flipping brilliant. If I decided to stop my membership because I could travel all the time, why wouldn't you? So she did. She changed the models. She changed how much she was offering. She still has a version of her membership, but it's not like it was. And now in fact, she's just been away for 5 weeks.
Wow.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Great.
That's what I love. I absolutely love that. I love traveling. And the thing is that, I work with businesses where now they just take 6-8 weeks off, and the business is absolutely fine. And that's what you go into it for, the fact of the freedom as well. It's like you say, it's not just the money, it's the freedom as well.
Yes.
Could we just go back to 400 episodes? How on earth with the podcast have you got to 400 episodes? I mean, that's just insane.
I don't know, honestly.
That's got to be real discipline, because I'm at 40. So I'm like, and the thing is that obviously I had come here to this studio to record, and if I didn't, other things would just get in the way. But you have been so consistent every week. I love your podcast. The thing is that your voice, and anyone listening to this will agree with me, your voice is, I could listen to you for hours.
Wow.
You could talk anything.
I love that. Thank you. I am going to take that. I always joke that's my side business if this one doesn't work. Like a whole nother thing there.
I love it. Yeah. So, but you must be really disciplined.
Yeah, I am. I batch. That's my secret to being disciplined, I think. So no, I used to do 2 or 3 recording days every 4 or 5 months, and literally back to back to back to back all the interviews. So I do 1 interview, 1 solo, 1 interview, 1 solo. The solo ones I tend to do closer to the date, and the interview ones I tend to do out. But I think for me, I am such a people pleaser, and I made a commitment, and I don't like letting people down. So for me, saying to people, I have a podcast that comes out every Monday, kind of fix that in my head that I've got to do it. And I think there's something really awesome about going, I've never missed a Monday, not one. And obviously in business, when we have our own businesses, our lives get in the way. And I've had huge personal things happen. My mum passed away suddenly. I've been through a whole journey of getting sober, and yet I stayed consistent. And I think for me, it was a case of, I said I was going to do it. Now I joke and laugh about how do I ever stop if I ever want to stop. And I don't know that that's the case. And sometimes I worry that there'll be something I don't know what to say anymore. And I also got some really amazing guests in the early days for my industry. So then I got to the point of well, what if there isn't any amazing guests anymore? But the truth is there is so much out there and so many people I haven't spoken to. And the other truth is, having done this for 7 years, my opinions and thoughts have changed. The industry has moved on. Some things that work then still absolutely work now, but some things don't. So actually, I think And it's the only consistent content I do. So for me, it's like, well, if I didn't do that, what else am I doing? I'm not great on social media. I used to have someone do it for me. And when they stopped, I didn't replace them. And it shows because I'm not consistent at all. But the podcast and a process, that's how we stay consistent. Having a really good process of the only thing I have to do is record. So I decide on the guests. We get probably on average 2 to 3 applications a day.
Wow.
Yeah. And that is like a full-time flipping job. And the worst thing is people don't even do their research. So someone will go, oh, I want to come on and talk about Bitcoin. And you'll be like, when have I ever talked about Bitcoin? And do I look like the type of person who would talk about it? So we have a fairly quick process of, I will look at it immediately and then ping it over to Johan, my assistant, who says no, yes, or maybe. And then there's an application. So that is constant. We constantly have that to deal with. But other than that and me recording, everything else is someone else, which is great.
So as far as just touching on marketing, obviously,
it's kind of what I do.
Your huge
but
topic, yeah. So obviously you don't like, or you're not great on social media. No. I'm the same. I'll go somewhere. I mean, I was away all last week. Totally forgot to do anything on stories. If I'm busy, my head just goes somewhere totally different. But I am consistent on doing newsletters and things like that.
Yes.
But I do have people who help as well, like as in to get it out, because I'm okay doing it, but then it's actually doing something with it. So as far as building an audience, obviously, you know, for my audience, for salon owners, I always think video content's great, because someone always wants to know you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I've found even your voice, getting to know your voice, since I started doing the podcast, there's so many people, like, you can just tell people feel like they know you more, kind of thing. But then in my industry, it's probably more that someone will send a newsletter. But I know you do sort of like from there, teach people how to do funnels and different things. And I've always thought there's so much more as salon owners that we could do, because basically it's like a newsletter. And then hopefully that's going to bring in some clients, a newsletter. Hopefully it's going to bring in some, and that's it. And it's just putting out posts. And I always think that, and I'm sort of, you know, one of those people who does it as well, put out content as in on social media, because I think, I should be putting something out.
Yeah.
But what is a far better strategy? And should salon owners be looking at doing more kind of funnel things where they are sending newsletters, but then follow it up and getting, because you're not really getting engagement as such. So is there any ideas that you can think of that could help?
I think, so the general rule of thumb, you know what I mean? Thumb is more the better, okay? However, that isn't more the better sporadically and terribly organised. That's not like, okay, today I'm going to do a post on social media and then I can manage a newsletter next week and then I can manage something else. The consistency is important. So for me, committing that you're going to do it, even if no one's going to pay attention, right? Even if, like, I hope that if my podcast doesn't go live on a Monday, someone would email me and go, where is it? I don't know that. But like, even if you don't think anyone's going to pay attention, say it anyway. Say, I'm going to email you every single week on a Wednesday, and this is what I'm going to tell you, or this is what I'm going to share. Saying I'm going to do a podcast every Monday means I'm going to do it. So the consistency piece is important. The second piece is you've got to be comfortable doing it. Now, I want to caveat that with you won't be. Okay.
Yeah.
Those first few episodes, I dread to even imagine going back and listening to them. The same with going live and videos. In fact, I have such a funny story of when I went live. So I have a friend who's in the beauty industry and she's more in the nail industry, and she had just launched a new course, and I was obviously helping her with the launch, and I was like, okay, why don't you go live on Instagram? Never gone live before, T. I said, I tell you what, come live with me. I'll interview you, because obviously, although that wasn't something I did all the time, I was very used to having these conversations. I'll interview you and then you'll be fine because I'll be there. Okay, so we go live, right? And somehow, this is her first ever live, somehow it zoomed in on my face. So if you imagine like this much of my face is on the screen, completely zoomed in, I don't realise. She's like, T, you really zoomed in, and then people are messaging going, you really zoomed in, and I'm like, am I? And I'm like trying to press all the buttons, completely messed up this live for her. But it was brilliant because it was like, they thought it was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious.
Probably went viral.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like the best live I've ever done. But you're not going to be good. You're going to suck, right? So people think they need confidence to do these things. You don't need confidence, you need courage.
Oh, I like that.
You only get confidence when you know you can do something. And in those first instances, you don't know you can do them. So you have to have the courage first. Yeah. So don't wait for confidence. You're not going to have it because you have no experience of doing it. You have to have the courage to go, I'm going to do these and I'm going to suck. So your first few videos, you're going to put them up and you're going to think, oh God, that's awful. And you're going to cringe and all that good stuff. But the more you do, the better you're going to get, and then the more confidence you're going to feel. And then, as I'm literally walking down here, I'm walking doing a story, telling everybody it's my 400th episode today, because then you get to a point where you don't really care. In a nice way, not in a, I don't care what people think, but as in, I'm not bothered if I look stupid and my face is zoomed in, that's fine. It's about having that courage. You've got to get started. If someone can see your face, hear your voice, understand what you do, then they are going to be much more likely to want to engage with you. Yeah. And I know, because all of you lot are in the beauty industry, you may or may not believe this or know this, but it's intimidating. Okay. The beauty industry is intimidating. Yeah. It gives me throwbacks to when I was a teenager and I went into like House of Fraser to the beauty counters, and there were all these women who were stunning and looked down their nose like you couldn't afford things. Like, it's a really intimidating industry for someone who maybe hasn't been in before. Yeah. So the more you can show your face and go, no, look, I am just a normal human. And the more you can explain stuff to me as well. Like, so I might be interested in a particular treatment, but I'm too nervous to go, because I don't want to look like an idiot. I don't want to go, I don't even know what that is. Yeah. And why would I have it? And what is it? I've got another girl who actually does my brows and lashes and things. And she'll often do like beauty maths online or whatever. And then like share how it is and what it's about, where she will talk on camera and she comes across brilliantly. Yeah. And she's, you know, she's good. I was going to say she's funny and engaging, but then you're going to go, okay, well, I'm not going to be funny and engaging. No, she probably wasn't to begin with, but she is now. But it's like the barrier of becoming your customer just drops because I know who you are and I feel confident and I feel happy because I know actually you're lovely, which I'm sure everyone is lovely. Yeah. But as someone who doesn't know the salon, who sees it, like I've been at a friend's salon before where someone walks in really sheepishly to ask if they do something and you know it's taken all their courage to walk through the door. So if you can go online, and that's another way to think of it, you're doing a service to the people watching. It's not about you. It's not about, no one's looking at how good your eye makeup is or whether your hair's perfect. They're not. They're just sat there going, oh, awesome, great. Like, she seems lovely. I'll go to her.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true, you know, and I know with us, because obviously all of our suppliers produce like lovely little things to put on reels and things, but it's not you kind of thing. And it's like when we've ever put anything out and it's like anything to do with the team or anything, you get so much more engagement, so much. But and I think it is that scary thing, isn't it? Of like when you put something out, you think everybody's going to see it. Oh
yeah.
And the thing is,
tumbleweed. No one's going to see it. And then you
get really upset when like nobody's liked it or done anything with it. Yeah. And it's because nobody's seen it really. And
apart from like your family and friends, and they're the worst, right? Can I just say, like, of all the people who I would rather not see my stuff is my family and friends, because they're the ones who have the biggest opinions. And ironically, they're the people who don't have businesses. Like,
Yeah.
That's the interesting thing. The strangers on the internet who you're scared of seeing your stuff, they're the ones who aren't going to judge you. They're not really going to pay that much attention. And then certainly not going to be going, oh, have you seen what she's done? Like, unfortunately, it tends to be our families and friends. And they're the ones who are more likely to say something to us. But there's an amazing quote, which wasn't Brene Brown's, but she talks about it all the time. And it's something along the lines of, which I'll probably completely butcher, but if you're not in the arena getting your backside kicked, I'm not interested in your opinion.
Oh, yeah, I like that as
It's
well.
brilliant, because the people who will be people to say, oh, I saw your video, yeah, you look like an idiot. They're not the ones who are actually, they're not out there putting videos of themselves. They haven't got businesses.
Yeah.
They're not trying to like get clients. So I'm not interested. Oh, sorry, how many businesses have you run? Oh yeah, none. No, I'm all right, thanks. Like, I don't care what you say. And it takes a while to get to that point, but you just have to remember, like, the ones who might say something are not your clients. They're not your customers. They're not the people you're trying to reach. And therefore you can just go, yeah, move on. Thanks.
Totally. Yeah. That is so, so true. And I think it is, obviously now I'm more confident on camera, but it does take a while, doesn't it?
So much.
And even now I'm like, oh, that doesn't look very good. But you just have to think, oh, whatever.
And it never goes. Like, I know this is the first in a studio podcast I've done, which is ace. I'm very excited, all these cameras. And as I'm sat here, I'm like, oh, I wonder what I look like from the side. And I'm going to, like, and when this video comes out, am I going to be happy with what I see? That doesn't change. Yeah. But I mean, now I've said it, you might be looking at me that way, but you wouldn't have before I said it. And also, what matters is that I am doing it, because if I was hiding in my house and if I wasn't doing this, if I wasn't doing the podcast, if I wasn't going on stages, if I wasn't doing those things, no one would have a single idea who I was. Yeah. And that makes selling something to someone very, very difficult.
Yeah. So with email marketing, how do you get that across to, like, sort of, how do you get your personality across? Is it through stories always, or what's the best way on that side?
So when I teach email marketing, I talk about love letters versus newsletters. Okay. So I do love letters, and there's something else that I call newsletters. The one thing I want to say is it doesn't matter which one you do. Right? It's entirely up to you. There's no right, no wrong. But just to help me explain the difference, a love letter, I write to one person. And for a long while, and now I don't need to do it so much because I do so many of them, but I would literally think of that one perfect customer. So if you've got someone who comes in and you're like, if I could have 10 of her or 10 of him, I would be so happy. If all my clients were like that person, I'd be so happy. So I have them in mind when I'm writing my love letter to them. And it sounds very personal. It's not that personal, but it's like, write it as if you're writing to one person. So you're not going, hey, everyone, this is what we've been up to this week. You're going, hey, Jane, da 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 da, and you're talking as if you're having a conversation. That's the other thing I do, is I write like I talk. So I am not the best grammatically. I am not the best at spelling. And in fact, I wrote, one of the very first emails I wrote to my list was, I debated getting a copywriter to do my emails. But if you wanted to hear from them, you'd have signed up for their email list. So you're not going to get award-winning emails. You're not going to get perfectly written. You're not going to get perfect spelling. But it's me. I am writing these every single time. And I will literally, like I said, in my head, I imagine how I say it and I type it. A newsletter, and with a love letter, you normally link or give them one action. So this works particularly good for my type of industry, because I can talk about why newsletters are so important. And then I can say, oh, and here's a podcast episode where I talk about it, and link them to that one thing. A newsletter tends to be what you would imagine from Marks and Spencer's. So Marks and Spencer's will send out a newsletter that talks about this product, this product, this product, this product. Maybe I don't know if Marks and Spencer's write blogs, but if they wrote blogs, I'm sure they have articles, click to this, or here's something that was in the press. So they would have multiple links in that one email. And that tends to be written more as a newsletter. So a kind of, update on what we've been doing. Now, you can do both. You could do a roundup every month of a newsletter where it's like, here are the new things that we've done. Here are the new services. Here are the whatever. And then you might do a love letter that talks about a client that came in who had really, like, this is where my lack of beauty knowledge will come really abundantly here, like had a particular issue with their skin, they had 5 treatments, and now they feel so confident that they can go out without makeup on their face. Like, that is a good story. Like, that sounds great, because then that'll go, oh, that's interesting, I won't leave the house without makeup on my face because I feel too conscious of my red cheeks or whatever it is. So that can work really well in a love letter, but wouldn't work so well in a newsletter, because you really need to get into it. So some of my emails are quite long. Some of them are quite chatty, you know, but it will focus on one thing and it will direct you to do one thing. Whereas a newsletter will be more of, you know, this treatment's come in, we're giving 10% off this treatment. We just wrote a blog on why this is so good. So it doesn't matter which you do, just understand the difference.
And could you do a mix of both?
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you're not confident in writing and storytelling, and when we say storytelling, I think sometimes we get in our head that this is some massive skill that you need to have as a copywriter. It's not. Like, we are storytelling just by having conversations. So if you could sit and tell me, if I could come in and say to you, what's this treatment and why would I have it? Whatever you tell me is what you would put in an email. Like, just write it how you would have a conversation. And again, I think sometimes with marketing in general, we imagine we're talking to this big, massive crowd of people. Don't. Because I don't want to be part of a massive crowd. I don't want to think that people I buy from just see me as another number. Imagine you're talking to one person and have that conversation as if you're having it to that one person. And then that's where the storytelling can come in, because you are having a conversation. So I think maybe change it to, I'm having a conversation. But like I said, you could do both. You could do once a week, you could do that kind of more longer email that's chatty and personable and might kind of, you know, lots of times with storytelling, you'd go, oh, I was doing XYZ at home and I happened to notice such and such, and that made me think of, sometimes that can be a bit sleazy, but that type of thing. And then you could do a roundup of going, here are the latest offers we've got, or here are the treatments that we've got spaces for, or here is the latest 2 blogs we wrote about XYZ.
And as far as, so when you're saying conversational, could you record something and use the transcription?
Absolutely.
As it like, not word for word kind of thing. But what's your thoughts as well on AI?
Okay.
Because obviously now it's just like, oh, just put it into ChatGPT.
Yeah, they'll write an email for you. Yeah, and they're brilliant, right? Do not get me wrong. I've been in marketing now 20 odd years, and geez, like, if they'd been around that time ago, life would have been so much easier. I think it's about what you put in that then helps what you get out. So I will use AI. The way I use it for my emails is I will write an email and then I will put it in and go, make that sound better. Because my grammar and my spelling and my general structure of an email is not great, because I am speaking it or I am typing it as I'm thinking. So I'll do that as a check. The other thing that you could do is it's more about you getting as much of you across as possible. So for instance, I love, and actually did in the car on the way up here, ChatGPT on my phone when I can talk to it. So on your phone, it can talk to you. So you will press the button and I go, hey chat, and it goes, hey Theresa. And it's got the best voice. You could choose the voice. My voice has got a really nice voice. And I'll be like, I'm thinking about doing an email to such and such, and I want to include da 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 da. Can you ask me some questions to help me write it? And then it'll go, yeah, sure. Can you tell me da 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 da? And then you answer them and then they write it. And then you take it and then you tweak it. So I never lift something, even if I've put that effort in, even if I said to chat, what do you need to know to help me write an email about X? That is a statement I use all the time. What do you need to know to help me write the thing you're trying to write? Because if you say, can you write me an email about why emails are so good? It will be the most dull, rubbish email you've ever read. Whereas if you're asking it, what do you need me to tell you? Then it will tell you. And then you can get your thoughts and opinions into it. And again, that's what we want to hear. I did some training a while back for some dog trainers, right? And I know this seems like a strange analogy, but they were dog trainers. And when I trained them, I was like, what kind of dog trainer are you? Are you, like, if you've got dogs, you might know Cesar Millan or whatever his name is. He's an American guy and is strict, right? He is like, you are dominant, the dog is you're the master. And then you've got the dog trainers who are like, reward and love and whatever. Caesar is not that. So it's like, well, what kind are you? And they're like, we're the love kind of. I'm like, okay, great. I need you to tell me that then. Because what you don't want is someone coming to you expecting and hoping for someone to scare your dog into submission if that's not what you do. Now, we're not saying one is right and one is wrong. And I think people are really scared to give their opinion on that. And I know I've digressed slightly, so I apologize. But
no, it's perfect.
People are really scared to give their opinion on a thing. And I think there is a way in which you can do it where you're not saying they're wrong. So for instance, let's say if there's a particular, like, I'm going to go with something like sugaring over waxing, right?
Yeah.
I know nothing about either of them, FYI, but I know they're two different ways to get rid of hair, right? If you do not like sugaring for whatever reason, then I need to know that. It doesn't mean you have to go, sugaring is heinous and it's terrible and people who do it are stupid. You don't have to at all. You just have to go, these are the benefits of waxing over sugaring. This is why I prefer waxing. This is the results I get with waxing. Because I need to know that. Because as your customer, what isn't going to work if I come to you for something you don't want to do and then the alignment is all off? Because then let's say I go to that dog trainer who's the soft dog trainer and I want the hard dog trainer, then I'm going to think this is terrible. This is useless. Like, I'm going to be a dissatisfied customer. I might write a review going, this is not what I thought. I wouldn't, by the way, but people do. And actually it's because I wasn't clearly understanding in the first instance what it was you were offering. So that's why in some of this stuff, when you get something like ChatGPT to write your stuff, or when you get, in fact, Claude is better. So if you know what ChatGPT is, Claude's better at writing. So if you get Claude to write you something and you don't help give it your thoughts and opinions and what is important to you, then they are going to write something generic. And what's going to happen is that generic thing's going to go out and you're going to get someone coming to you, potentially not fully understanding who you are and what you like and what sort of person you are. And therefore, they're going to be really disappointed, annoyed, upset. And that whole situation is going to be terrible for both of you. Whereas if you put in the information and go, I want to write a email about why waxing is better than sugaring. These are my reasons. Help me write the email. Then great.
Do you say to it, oh, and you are a top copywriter, or do you?
I don't, if I'm honest, because I'm not a top copywriter. So people would be like, who the hell wrote this for Theresa? No, I don't, purely out of laziness more than anything. It's, for me, what's more important is tell me what you need to know from me. So for instance, like, if we want it to promote a product or sell, because again, sometimes it can be really useful for helping sell if we're not very good at the selling side, if we're trying to write something for selling. But it's like, no, what things do I want to tell you about it that is so good? Why do I think that thing's so good? Yeah. And again, if it sells generically, if it talks generically, it's going to sell generically. You're going to get the wrong people through the door or no one through the door. Whereas I would much rather someone make it abundantly clear whether I am for them or not. So I would much rather someone go, we work with people who have this. We are brilliant when it's this. I love this. Like, if there's someone who is super chatty, you know how like you can get into an Uber and it'll say, do you want to talk or do you not want to talk? What temperature do you want? Like, if I go for reflexology every 6 weeks and a full body massage, and it's just the best. And I've been going to her for such a long time that we know there's a certain point in reflexology where she stopped talking, I stopped talking, we don't utter another word the whole time. If I went to someone else who was super, super chatty and I didn't know that was them, I would go, I'd have my reflexology massage and I'd go, that was awful, because she talked the entire way through and that was not my thing. Whereas if I understood that's who they were as a person, or understood the options, then it would make it so much easier.
And that's the thing, because it should be an option, because, we always ask our clients, and I always recommend everyone to ask clients, like, if, do you want to just relax today, or do you want me to talk through what I'm doing? Yeah. Because one week, a client can be like, I want to have a great chat. Yeah. Another week, just be like, I just want to chill. Yeah, kind of thing. So so it's really, really. So do you find that talking to AI gets your voice better across than typing in, do me 10 of this kind of thing?
I do. I'm a talker.
Yeah.
And I am not great at writing. And in fact, how it makes sense of what I write is another miracle in itself. But I just find having that kind of conversation. But the other thing is, I had someone on my podcast. Has the episode gone out? No, it hasn't. It's going out soon. So depending on when this episode, but anyway, that talked about AI and talked about one of the things that you can do is actually say to it, tell me what you know about me. And then you can say to it, what questions would you ask me if you wanted to get to know me better? And then you can answer those questions.
That is brilliant.
Isn't it clever? Like, so clever. You know, it's funny, when I was doing the interview, she said she was American. And when she said to whichever AI it was, tell me what you know about me, they came back with all this stuff and they went, and your daughter Scarlett scored a such and such in the SATs. And I was like, what? How did it know that? And she's like, I completely forgot, but I had actually asked it. My daughter has got this in the SATs. Is it any good, or what does this mean? So of course it gathers a ton of information about you. But also, if you're like, sometimes when I speak to them, they have clients, so they're using it for clients and whatever. But so you need to kind of just check that what it knows about you is what it's going to use for you. And then you can say to it, think about what you know about me. So that's another thing I will say, using my tone of voice, write me such and such. Based on what you know about me, write me da 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 da.
Yeah. Oh my word. That is just, it's amazing, isn't it? It's like, and I'm sure as time goes on, it's just going to get, when you look at how far it's come from the start to now, it's just awesome, isn't it?
And I think it's only going to get better and more important. Yeah. And I think that you guys are in an industry that AI can't do.
Yeah.
Like, lucky you guys, because there are web designers and graphic designers and copywriters and marketing people who, like, you could go to AI and ask them how to do something that I teach and it will tell you. Now, what it doesn't do currently is take into account who you are and how you like to work, but it's not to say it won't. Whereas for you guys to use it to help you make things that you don't want to do quicker and easier, brilliant. Like, get it to help you write the emails, get it to give you content ideas, get it to tidy up something you've already done so that you can spend less time doing that and more time doing the thing that you should be doing.
It's fascinating because it's something that's always fascinated me from years ago. And I got invited to an event, this must have been about 10 years ago, that Thomas Power was doing on what AI was going to look like. And this is, I'd never even really heard about it, you know, back then. And I went to this event and they were talking about, you know, that like, eventually, you know, you would have your phone on your wrist and all these kind of things. And I was like thinking, no way. That is brilliant. And like driverless cars and all these jobs that were going to go on. I was thinking this isn't good.
I mean, that person was way ahead.
I know. And the thing, I wrote an article, and I have to pull it out.
Oh God, I'd love it.
About like, would we get replaced, you know, and would you be able to have like a massage by robot kind of thing, which you actually can, and you can have your lashes done as well with like a robot.
Can you really?
Things. I mean, I'm sure it's like, hopefully, fingers crossed, going to be a long time off. Yeah. But the one thing is that like touch is never going to be replaced.
And it's just the best thing ever.
And bizarrely, I ended up being invited again to go to an AI dinner that Thomas Power was going to be at. And obviously all of these things had come around, but there was also as well, there was so much of the conversation in the room. There was only 20 of us in the room, and I was the only one there from the beauty industry. And I was like thinking, they're going to think, what is she doing here? But I'm just so fascinated by it. And it was so interesting about how many people, like how much conversation we ended up talking about our industry. But the one thing that did come out of it is that, like, you know, as an industry, we are probably one of the safest in this, because, you know, I think even just from lockdown, the wellness side of our industry has developed so much more. And I think that the more that AI comes out, the more the human connection is going to get stronger as well. So,
and the same with social media. Like, the more we have disjointed lives and look through screens and talk through screens. And I have to say, like, so my husband sometimes works away, and I literally book in a massage for when I know he's not there, because I will have no physical touch, and I need that physical touch, and just someone laying hands on me, and even
it's energy as well, though.
Totally. And even like some of the beauty treatments, like during lockdown, my husband did my nails. Like, he can turn his hand to anything. It's insane. But like, I've seen all these adverts for, like, because I have the lash lift thing. I don't even know what they're called, right? And I've seen adverts for do it yourself. I'm like, are you having a laugh? Like, no way on this earth would I attempt to do it. I don't even like having it done myself, let alone do it myself. And I think as well, yes, there are, compared to probably 10, 15 years ago, there are lots of do it at home treatments. But honestly, the people who were having the do-it-home treatments weren't your customers anyway. I don't think they were coming into the salon necessarily, and they certainly weren't coming in as regularly as probably the ones who are coming in, because I don't want to do it at home. You know what I want, right? And if you can get someone to do this for me, you'll literally be the best person in the world. I want a salon where I can go in, I can lie there, and they can do everything at once. Right? I want to do my nails, my toes, my brows, my lashes, my whatever else, right? I just want to go in for like 2 hours, 3 hours, and have the whole thing done. That's what I'm really after.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be amazing.
Can be done.
I need to find that. I need to find that close to me so I could go and have it done. Just because it's the time. But do I want to do it myself? No, not in a million years.
Yeah. But it's that me time as well, isn't it? But it has to be, if you're like me, you're like, oh, what time is it? I need to be doing this. I need to be doing that. It's
and
very hard
nails
to switch
the
off
worst,
the more.
because you can't do anything. At least when I go to my hair, I literally take my laptop and I
do. It's terrible, isn't it?
It is
They're
terrible.
always like, say, do you want a magazine or are you going to work?
I'm working.
I'm going to work.
Yeah, otherwise this is a waste of my time. I love it.
My word. Theresa, I haven't even touched on half the things I was going to ask you about.
That's me talking too much.
We're going to have to do another episode. But this has been so good. And I can fully understand how you won an award for Role Model of the Year in your industry, because you are awesome. And this has been so good. And I can't thank you enough. So anyone who wants to get in touch, because what you do covers every industry. It's amazing. And like you said, you do work with sort of people who are working in the nail industry and things, and our industry. So how can someone get in touch? I mean, we will put it into the show notes as well.
Thank you. So if you just search Theresa Heath Waring anywhere, because luckily that's the advantage of having that name. That is technically now not my name. I got remarried. It's actually part of my ex-husband's name, which delights my now husband, obviously, but it's too out there to change. Go and search that. My favourite's Instagram, and obviously the podcast. Your Dream Business. I can't even say it. Your Dream Business.
Yeah, which is such a fab. Just listening to your voice, you could talk about anything on that podcast, but the content is awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Theresa.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been brilliant.